It's nice and clean on both sides. And I've done the whole making a sphere, cutting it in half, and making a sphere and cutting out the center, and it works. This is just a lot easier to me because you're able to make whatever size you want to make and make whatever thickness that you want to make for the curve. Say, I did end up going with that bigger sphere. If I wanted kind of have a sharp edge on the bottom, just make sure that's lined up. Go ahead and heal that. See, and you can actually get different effects there, just depending on what size sphere that you use. To heal with. Yeah, see, and that's why you kind of have to make sure you really look at these before you just lay it out, because with the new sizing that they do for the sphere tool, even numbers just don't seem to work quite as well sometimes, because it goes up. Basically you start at even, odd, even, odd, even, odd, even, odd, even. Every one, it's going to go, every time you move up, it's going to switch from odd or even. So that's odd, and that's even. Which is kind of an easy way to tell, if I had one more around on this, I would be able to tell, okay, is this one going to work for this one since it's an odd one, or is it going to work for an even one? So it's just kind of an easy way to do some of these curves where you don't have to spend so much time cutting out a circle and then stacking it and then smoothing it, and that's the process I did for every one of these. That's how I got all of these. And as far as the layering works, that does work on stuff like this, because initially I actually had the roof, I put the roof on and I didn't have this trim. So what I did was I took the same roof, just cut part of the end of it off, moved it down one, and then stacked it, flipped it and stacked it, which then there was distortion right in here. So then I just grabbed the corner piece from up here, because I didn't have this board in yet. So I just grabbed the corner piece and then copied it and pasted it back down in here, and it fixed that. As well as getting stuff like this underneath. When you put that regular voxel in, if I were to put a regular voxel in here, that's going to pull up into the roof. And sometimes that'll actually pull the roof down, which it didn't do there. I'll come to this side here so it's not so bright. But you can see that messed the roof up. So like if I were to paste something to fix something right here, and it messed the roof up like that, you would just take the actual part of the roof, which, you know, I can't do that now because it's pulled up on both sides of there. Let me grab this side here. Just kind of show you. And stack it on both sides. That fixes that. You don't have to stack, you know, you don't have to paste it right over the top of it. You can do that, but depending on what you're doing, that may really distort the one, you know, the voxel that you placed underneath it. So if you just stack one on both sides like that, if you know, you're doing something that you're able to stack them on both sides, that'll actually fix that middle one too, because it pulls the voxel back together to the other two. If that makes sense. And let's see. You see, I don't have my old workshop and stuff with all my Dark Elf stuff in it, because I could really show you some of the stuff that I was making. I mean, I have it templated, but that's an entire claim. That's an entire claim, pretty much. But just kind of show you. You know, that's the process of how I made these here, as well as getting this part here. Which with this part, what I had to do was actually take this, because this was distorted. It distorted this middle part. So what I had to do was actually take the one on the side and paste it through. And you can see how that distorted that one next to it. So if I flip it, it'll fix that. And then just come in with the line tool and fix these little distortions. Makes it nice and clean. That's how I did this also, which you can see here. This actually got pulled up here, which is the whole reason I did this, to kind of make it look like it's supposed to, because of the distance between the voxels. There was only just this little space here, not even a full voxel, just this kind of triangle here, and it pulled the top parts in, as well as layering this. This, I would have to say, was the most difficult thing for me to get right. Layering these curves on this, on the wall for the doorway, because it kept wanting to, even though it's, you know, got a pretty good distance, even up in here, it kept wanting to pull these voxels up because of the roaming vectors that they introduced. I guess I could fix these while I'm here, since they fix those now. But same technique is how I made this, as well as this up here, which it kind of got distorted in the middle as I was adding some stuff and doing stuff in here, but you don't really see that unless you go over to look in there, so I wasn't too concerned about it at the time. I was just trying to get it fixed or finished so I could get it entered. But you can kind of see, I mean, you can have different shapes and designs coming off of these, and it is still possible to keep those. I don't think I really have. I mean, somebody's been here. These doors are all open. My beautiful little magic garden there. As well as these here, to keep those from getting distorted. Basically what I had to do was I pasted it down, and it actually pulled these corner pieces down towards the wall, so it distorted those. So, I had this actual piece. I always make sure I keep an extra copy. That's why these little pieces are still sitting here, because I was messing with some things the other day, and I always want to make sure I have a copy to go back to reference to fix things, because when that pulled that to the floor, I just cut this bottom section off of my copy, copied that bottom section, flipped it. So, like I would grab this section here, copied it out, and then flipped it, the face in the direction of the wall. I'd flip it the opposite way and then stack it in, and that fixes the deforming that it causes on the wall pulling those voxels together. Same thing with this here. To keep these shapes from pulling all these, sometimes you just got to copy a little section, and you may have to actually flip the face the opposite direction. That'll fix a lot of the little distortion and stuff that you get when you're trying to layer things. Hey, Reptilian. How's it going today? Yeah, I mean that's the basic idea of it. I mean, you really got to play with things. Different shapes do, of course, different things. But as long as you keep an extra copy of what you're working with, oh, you gotta wait. So that you can always go back and reference that. It's very helpful. Same thing with this part. Wow. I didn't notice that either. I hope that doesn't affect the competition entry. It's kind of like that there too. So if I were to take this, copy this, of course I'm going to have to flip it that direction.